Okay, today I had a chance to test these four TT gear motors. This would be the new 1 to 220, or 220 to 1 as we would say here in the United States. The older but hard to find 120, 1 to 120, the 90 to 1, and the most common of all of them, the 48 to 1, or as they like to say, 148. I checked their current draw at 3 different voltages, and I also checked their RPMs at 2 different voltages. So for example, on this new one that I just did a video on, I'll link that down below, at 3 volts, no load, it bounced between 110 and 120 milliamps. I just called it 120 since it was the high end, and it was spitting out 30 RPM. To check the RPM, I 3D printed this disc that I could fit onto all the motors, and checked them with my RPM digital tachometer. And I did that actually 2 ways, one with a single reflective point, and then I also did it with 4 reflective points. I had 4 on the bottom side, took them off. The 4 ones, you just have to get the calculator out and divide it by 4. The single one, of course, you read directly. They were just suggesting on things that turn slow, you might want to put more reflective points and divide it to get a more accurate reading. On the 120 to 1 gear ratio, at 3 volts, no load, we're going to call it 120 milliamps. Again, it was bouncing between 110 and 120. Gave me 44 RPMs. Maybe I should finish this one before we're on, or should I complete the 3 volt ones? Let's complete the 3 volt ones. And 3 volts into the 90 to the 1 was giving me about 52 RPMs, and at 90 milliamps, sorry, 3 volts, drawing about 90 milliamps. For some reason it's less, so it must be a slightly different motor used in these, because even the 48 to 1 here was only drawing 90 milliamps and giving me 94 RPMs. Now at 4.5 volts, which would be 3 batteries, the current draw jumped up to 130 milliamps roughly on these first 2, and it was sitting around 110 milliamps on the 90 and the 48. At 6 volts, I was interested in the RPM on the 1 to 220 gear ratio one. So at 6 volts, it was drawing 150 milliamps. Again, these are no load, and giving me roughly 60 RPM. So it just doubled. So it's what we expected it to do by giving it twice the voltage. The 120 to 1 at 6 volts was drawing, of course, about the same, about 150 on the high end, giving me about 96 RPMs. So it was getting a little bit more than I expected there, but it's a little more than doubled. The 90 to 1 at 6 volts, drawing 120 milliamps, giving me about 114 RPM. And the 48 to 1 at 6 volts, about 120 milliamps again, giving you 188 RPM. So I'm really liking this one. I'm hoping it continues to stay available, because you could do a lot of walking robots with that one to have a whole lot more power and run them either on 3 batteries or 4 batteries, 4.5 volts or 6 volts, because that voltage is high enough that you don't have to put in a boost regulator. Then you can run any of the multicolored LED displays, or you could even run your electronic programmable control type circuits without having to boost the voltage up, and still end up with a very nice RPM. So there you have it. The 4 motors that are currently available in their different gear ratios. Again, initially I found it on AliExpress, but after doing searching by knowing what to type in, I'll link the other video below so you can find them. They seem to be available right now, which is nice.